So today we are going to be talking about Caitlin Clark and Sheryl Swoopes again, but Stephen A. Smith has out here calling out Sheryl Swoopes over this. Like, it's gotten now to the stage where Stephen A. Smith is not even happy. He's like, this is a bad look. And I will stand by one of the points that he's making because it's one of the points, it's the real point that Elle Duncan made. The point that Elle Duncan freaking apologized for. Which I hate. I hate that Elle Duncan apologized because her actual sentiment was right. But Stephen A. Smith, thankfully, he hasn't misspoken. And he hasn't said one small detail wrong. So does not have to apologize to Sheryl Swoopes, who is the single biggest Caitlin Clark hater. And like, this is again, Stephen A. Smith being perfectly respectful. Being perfectly respectful. Talking about Sheryl Swoopes, and he was just on his own show right here talking about it, and this is what he has said. I'm gonna see if I can get to the point where it matters.
Caitlin Clark herself of the WNBA. Let's get to the WNBA and this sensational rookie from the Indiana Fever who continues, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself. She recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court, and didn't mention the rookie when speaking of Indiana's rise in the standings. Here's what Sheryl Swoopes had to say.
We've all heard what Sheryl Swoopes had to say. Basically, she mentioned everyone on the Fever is white or good except Caitlin Clark.
You won for you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. And then y'all wonder what happened. See, remember when I was on the air on ESPN and I got into it with Monica McNutt? Stephen A., I'm talking to you, Stephen A., you. Oh, it's a debate show. She has her opinion. First game.
Basically, he goes on for about 8 minutes. But the gist of what he is saying is that exactly the point that Monica McNutt made is that there are people who fully believe the media is out to get Caitlin Clark. There are people that fully believe that, and I do think there are parts of the media that are out to get Caitlin Clark, whereas some parts of the media aren't. Like, if you're asking me about Caitlin Clark, and it's like, does Elle Duncan herself have any issue with Caitlin Clark? No. Does Monica McNutt have any issue? I don't think so. I think Monica McNutt is just, I think some of these people aren't watching the games. Do I think anyone who's actually watching the games believes Caitlin Clark's not Rookie of the Year? No. But do I believe that some of these people have ain't necessarily against her in the media? I think in most cases it's not the case. But I do think specifically in Sheryl Swoopes' case it is. And Elle Duncan's entire point, about nearly a month ago at this stage, was basically saying that we need to stop saying the media is out to get Caitlin Clark, but we also need to call out the sections of the media that are. So not instead of saying a general statement of ESPN or X, Y, and Z are out to get Caitlin Clark because of some conspiracy. No, it's Sheryl Swoopes is out to get Caitlin Clark. And that's basically the point that Elle Duncan tried to make. And Stephen A. Smith made the same point. Stephen A. Smith literally said it was like, you know too much about basketball. There's no way you believe this. And it's like, basically, Stephen A. Smith's like, you are giving ammo to the people that want to, like, put down all of media, want to put down, especially people of, let's be real, it's not basketball related, but a certain group of people. You're giving them ammo, and that's all Sheryl Swoopes is doing. Like, Sheryl Swoopes is number one hater. She is number one hater. Like, I'm telling you, if you ask Sheryl Swoopes who the Rookie of the Year is, obviously she'll say Angel Reese. If you ask Sheryl Swoopes who second in Rookie of the Year is, she would probably say Rickea Jackson. And that is how off Sheryl Swoopes is. I think she would actually say Rickea Jackson is second for Rookie of the Year. Like, for all we know, she could be freaking running that Trendy Hoop Stars page. where it's like they do the opposite of the Thaddeus Young graphic. If you guys don't know what the Thaddeus Young graph is, it's like you put up a bunch of stats, but they're like really weirdly specific stats, and it can basically make it so that there's eventually people will know what the Thaddeus Young graphic means, but it's a graphic that ESPN one time put out, and it was talking about players that have averaged a certain amount of things. It's like players 800 games, 13.5 points, 5.9, 1.4 steals, these percentages, this 3, and it is 4 of the greatest players of all time, and Thaddeus Young. Like, there are some people in the media that will do opposite of Thaddeus Young graphics, that they will be like, the only people in the WNBA averaging X, Y, and Z numbers and less than these turnovers, or averaging X, Y, and Z numbers on less than this amount of attempts. And it's like, it's the opposite of Thaddeus Young stats. They're literally putting in, having a whole thing, people averaging this is this, and then just throwing in like a random thing to make sure that Caitlin Clark's ineligible. Like, it's a level of hating that I aspire to go to that level of hating. I really do. I really, like, there are some times you get to levels of hating where, like, I aspire to be at that level of hating towards something, because I think it's impressive. I think to hate something as much as some of these people hate when it comes with with Caitlin Clark is just a new level of hate. Either way, it's good to see Stephen A. Smith calling it out, because Stephen A. Smith is not going to do an L. Duncan. Because Stephen A. Smith, again, he hasn't misspoken, but L. Duncan got a slight detail wrong, and for that reason apologized for a completely justified point. A completely justified point. But at least we're finally starting to see the Sheryl Swoopes. It's not even like people are angry anymore at Sheryl Swoopes. It's now like treated like Skip Bayless. Sheryl Swoopes is almost being treated like a Skip Bayless, as in, this is a comedy act. Like, she is an entertainment person. Nothing she says should be taken seriously. And sure, I'm pretty sure there's like some, but like, again, Sheryl Swoopes was such a, apparently she, like, again, this is from what I've read, supposedly 10 of the 12 players she coached in college refused their scholarships. She was that horrible a person. But that horrible a coach. I don't know Sheryl Swoopes person, so that's and again, it's obviously hearsay saying about that, talking about that with coaches, but I don't have a clue who she is. All I know is that it's gotten to the stage where her opinion holds no weight, which is crazy considering the fact, again, she is one of the greatest to ever do it, and her opinion at this point holds almost no weight, just because her opinion on a sport where she's one of the greatest ever is now gotten to a stage where it holds no weight, because she's refusing to acknowledge who is possibly prime for prime one of the 5 greatest point guards ever, probably 3 greatest point guards prime for prime ever, and she's not even near her prime yet.